getting shown again. And it's just, in my opinion, is completely unacceptable. It is completely unacceptable. Like, if a coach did this to any other player in the league, they'd be fired.
Hey, at this point, you have to consider the possibility that the Indiana Fever are in on the plot to destroy Caitlin Clark. Stephanie White is an idiot, should be fired.
Stephanie White is in full-blown damage control, and the internet has receipts. After weeks of bizarre rotations, viral criticism, and now a resurfaced courtside moment that shows physically grabbing Caitlin Clark mid-game, WNBA fans are demanding answers. The league's most-watched player looks silenced. The coach? Cornered. And just when it seemed like the Fever were finding their rhythm, this clip drops, alongside a chorus of insiders accusing the staff of trying to turn Caitlin into a robot. But of course, if this happened to any other player, would the coach already be gone? Is this a meltdown in progress or a mutiny waiting to explode?
Easy points for them. I don't know how many points they had at the free throw line tonight, but I think they had 18 off of our turnovers, and that mostly falls on me. That falls on me as our point guard. I think I have to really get us into stuff, especially in the fourth quarter. We didn't do a good job of taking care of the ball. I didn't. So I think just starts with me and just getting better in that. And I feel like we're really close to being really good, and I think that's what's kind of been frustrating about these few losses. And I think
Let's rewind the tape, not the leaked one, the season. Caitlin Clark entered 2025 riding a tidal wave of adoration, endorsements, and ESPN specials so sugary they could give you cavities. She was the phenomenon who turned the Fever from a footnote into headline gold. But now, her stat line reads like a cautionary tale. Injuries have gutted her rhythm. A groin strain here, a quad tweak there, and the numbers, yikes. Shooting just 39% from the field and a mortifying 29.5% from three, Clark's once unlimited range now comes with a trigger warning. Her turnovers are nearly 6 per game. She's missing games. She's missing shots. And worst of all, she's missing that air of invincibility. It all came to a head on June 19th, when the Fever got clobbered by the Golden State Valkyries. Clark returned from injury, hoping to prove she was back. Instead, 10 points, 4 turnovers, a home crowd left in stunned silence. Then came the road trip from hell. 1 for 16 from beyond the arc over 2 games. For Caitlin Clark, that's not a slump. It's a cosmic glitch. Her assists are up, sure, but the efficiency is nosediving. And the whispers turn to roars. Is it just rust? Or sabotage? But we go any further first. Like this video if you think the refs are unfair to the Fever. Comment if you disagree. And don't forget to subscribe. Fans weren't just mad, they were furious. One viral post declared, "Stephanie White is a horrible coach who hates Caitlin Clark." Another called, "This is unacceptable and needs to be fired." And beneath all that noise, one truth was impossible to ignore. Something was off. Clark looked frustrated. The team looked fractured. And while some blamed injury, others blamed the person designing the offense, Stephanie White.
Hey, at this point, you have to consider the possibility that the Indiana Fever are in on the plot to destroy Caitlin Clark. Stephanie White is an idiot, should be fired.
Let's talk about the woman at the center of the chaos, Stephanie White. If you ask her, this is all part of a plan, a system, if you will. Ball movement, team-first mentality, no heliocentric hero ball, no one-woman shows. In theory, it's noble. In practice, it looks like Caitlin Clark is running around off-ball like she's auditioning for a Broadway musical, instead of torching defenses with the ball in her hands. White's been vocal about her belief in we over me, even citing the Pacers' Tyrese Halliburton as a model of unselfish team play. But here's the problem. Caitlin Clark isn't Halliburton. She's not designed to blend in. She is the offense. Or at least she was, back when she was dropping 30-point bombs on every college gym in the country. Now, she's setting screens for Ari McDonald and watching plays develop from the wing. It's like buying a Ferrari and using it as a shuttle bus.
When you see the Mavs just play differently without Luka on the floor, he's a guy who's high usage rate, the ball's in his hands. When he's not on the floor, that ball is moving, it's popping, multiple players getting involved in action, and everyone's stepping up.
But it gets juicier. Fans unearthed an old ESPN segment where White critiqued Luka Doncic's play style, saying the Mavs moved the ball better without him. It was shade-dressed as analysis, but the implication was clear. Stars like Luka or Caitlin disrupt the beautiful ballet of White's basketball ideals. So now the conspiracy's growing. Did White come to Indiana with a blueprint that deliberately neuters Clark's strengths? Is this a system or a strangulation? And this isn't White's first rodeo with controversy. At Vanderbilt, she racked up a 46-83 record, with player transfers piling up like missed layups. Some say it was a rebuild, others say it was mismanagement. On social media, the court of public opinion has made its call. Same thing happening here happened at Vanderbilt. Stephanie White has got to go. But White's defenders aren't backing down. They say this is about evolution, growth, the long game. The problem is, the fans aren't interested in slow cookers. They want fire, and they want it now. If you're screaming at your screen like we are, pause and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm Stephanie White might be losing this war. And drop a comment. Is Clark being coached or caged? Forget the idea of leaked footage. What really lit the match was a different kind of moment, one caught in plain view during a game that should have been nothing but celebration. After getting battered, cheap-shotted, and bruised all season long, Caitlin Clark finally delivered a vintage moment. A ruthless step-back three over JC Sheldon that had the crowd erupting. The Fever were up 20. Clark was hyping up the arena. She was alive. She was Caitlin. And then, she got benched. Not just subbed out for rest, benched, didn't return, didn't finish the game. And worse, as she walked toward the bench, Fever coach reached out and grabbed her. No context, no clear aggression, but still, hands on a player. And from that moment forward, Clark's emotional fire seemed to vanish like smoke. The rage, gone. The spark, flickering. And fans noticed. One WNBA podcast host captured the sentiment best. They're trying to turn Caitlin Clark into a robot. And honestly, it shows. From that day forward, her body language flatlined. She's been poked in the eye, knocked to the floor, threatened with texts for hyping up the crowd, penalized essentially for being the exact player that made the world care about the Fever in the first place. And behind the scenes, rumors swirl that this isn't just a Stephanie White thing. It might be coming from the front office. A full-blown top-down reprogramming effort to turn Clark into the WNBA's porcelain doll. Smiley, quiet, robotic. But fans didn't fall in love with a robot. They fell in love with Kobe Clark, with the killer instinct, the snarling stare downs, the willingness to take over and blow the roof off an arena. That's the show. That's the reason the ratings exist. And now, the Indiana Fever seem hell-bent on dimming her flame in the name of structure, even if it burns the whole franchise down in the process.
Look, I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away. But when you look at Indiana now, they've got so many weapons. And Kelsey Mitchell is playing out of her mind.
When you're scouting against the Indiana Fever now, you got to have two scouting reports. You've got to have one with Caitlin Clark on the floor and one that is just as dangerous without Caitlin out there.
And another thing, too.
Just when things couldn't get messier, the ghost of Purdue past crept in with a fireball take that poured gasoline on the whole Fever dream. Carolyn Peck, Stephanie White's former coach, longtime mentor, and proud architect of the system over superstar ideology, decided to hop on ESPN and toss a live grenade into the discourse. With a cool smile and zero warning, she dropped this quote, "Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play." Yes, you read that right. Dangerous. Without Caitlin Clark. The WNBA's biggest draw, the league's marketing engine, the woman who literally saved the Indiana Fever from broadcast irrelevance. Peck called her a ball-dominant liability and praised the team's balance in her absence. Within minutes, Carolyn Peck was trending next to Hater Alert and Pipe Down Grandma. It was poetic chaos. Some fans called her a relic trying to relive her glory days through Stephanie. Others accused her of a coordinated smear campaign, whispering in White's ear like a basketball Rasputin. But let's be fair, for a second. Peck and White do have a shared philosophy. Back in 1999, Peck's system won a national title. She coached White to glory with the same playbook she's peddling now. But here's the problem. College ain't the WNBA, and Clark ain't just another guard. Trying to turn her into a cog in a carefully calibrated machine is like asking Beyoncé to blend in with the backup singers. The backlash was immediate and vicious. Fans bombarded ESPN's socials. "Peck is delusional," one tweet read. "We saw what Clark did last season when she ran the show." And it's true. Indiana surged post-Olympic break in 2024 with Clark as the offensive engine. So why the sudden urge to deconstruct what worked? Why the obsession with balance over brilliance? Or, the juicier question, is Stephanie White just Carolyn Peck 2.0, trying to rerun a decades-old formula on a player built for a new era? Twitter, Threads, Reddit, TikTok, Facebook groups with names like Free Caitlin Now. The digital revolt against Stephanie White isn't just loud, it's volcanic. And it's not just about bad rotations or confusing substitutions anymore. It's about control. It's about power. And it's about a fan base that feels like their superstar is being held hostage by a coach with a clipboard and a 1999 playbook. The hashtag trended for 2 days straight after the leaked video. Comment sections were flooded with calls for White's firing. "Let Caitlin be Caitlin," they screamed. This isn't fever basketball, it's fever dictatorship. The frustration boiled over when White started Ari McDonald next to Clark on July 9th. Her reasoning? 2 ball handlers on the floor. The reaction? 2 ball handlers, 1 neutered Clark. And then came the receipts. Clips from 2024 when Clark averaged 23.1 points and nearly 9 rebounds during a 9-5 post-break run. Analysts began drawing stark statistical contrasts. The Fever's offensive rating drops when Clark sits. Yet here we are, devising systems to get her off the ball. Even casual fans noticed the math wasn't mathing. Of course, White's defenders are still out there, preaching patience and pointing to the Fever's Commissioner's Cup win, without Clark, as proof that the system works. But the real question is, at what cost? Because a 500 record, a fractured fan base, and a superstar playing like a square peg in a triangle offense doesn't exactly scream success. The tension isn't subtle anymore. It's a scream, and it's getting louder with every missed 3 and every clip of Clark watching from the corner like a tourist in her own offense. Now we stand at the crossroads. The Fever just bounced back with a 99-82 win over the Dream. Clark dropped dimes, commanded the tempo, and, shocker, looked comfortable when she had the ball in her hands. But the win didn't erase the footage, it didn't silence the speculation, and it certainly didn't answer the question, who's really in charge here?
I think the biggest thing is what we have to do as a staff to get her better looks, like higher quality looks. Every game plan is going to be to make her score inside the three-point line, right? And the different ways that they're going to do that. Physicality, coverage, showing bodies, all the different things. And, we have to do a better job of getting her higher quality looks. I'm not worried about Caitlin's shot. Caitlin's shot is going to be just fine. The thing I'm worried about is our 18 turnovers for 28 points.
Stephanie White says she's not worried about Clark's slump. She's recovering. We just have to help navigate her frustration. But that might be the understatement of the season, because the frustration isn't just Caitlin's. It's viral, it's tribal, it's generational. Older basketball minds calling for structure, younger fans demanding freedom, and caught in the middle, a 22-year-old superstar with the pressure of an entire league resting on her sore groin and sore ego. White may believe in egalitarian basketball, but the WNBA isn't a utopia. It's a business. And right now, Caitlin Clark is the business. She fills arenas. She drives ratings. She trends. If she walks, the Fever lose more than games. They lose their identity. But if White caves, she risks compromising everything her coaching career has stood for. Something has to give. And soon, because the clock's ticking. The playoffs loom, the footage lingers, and every possession where Clark plays decoy feels like another wasted gift. The Fever can still make a run, still turn this chaos into triumph, but only if they choose a side. Will they let Caitlin be Caitlin? Or will they cling to the system and watch the fire burn from within? The footage is real. The fallout is chaos. The future, still unwritten. One thing's for sure, Indiana's not just playing basketball, they're playing with fire. Let us know whose side you're on in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the next twist in this never-ending WNBA soap opera.